I'm holding court with Professor Erica Aseka, who is a professor of leadership and governance at the African International University. Also, we do have with us Ambassador Dr. Josephine Ojambo, who is a lecturer at the University of Kenyatta University. Also, she is the former Deputy Secretary General, Commonwealth Secretariat. We have with us as well Professor Jojo Jakoya, who is an advocate of the High Court and also an expert on governance and also a presidential aspirant. We do have with us as well here in studio Professor Noah Midamba. Professor Noah Midamba is the former Vice Chancellor of KTN University and also is a foreign and defense policy expert as well. We continue with the conversation. Our topic is in search of a leader, even as Raila is today unveiling himself as a presidential candidate right from Kasarani. What prospects do we look for from a good leader? That is a question that we don't exercise our minds to probe deeper and analyze this. We can see from the editorial cartoons, they come up with some of very good policies as well, but money is being doled out that sometimes pull wool over our eyes, and we don't plumb deeper to try and peel back the layers and see what sort of a person that particular contender or the particular aspirant is inside. The character. Does he have the nobility of character? The moral uprightness? Does he have a philosophy that he stands for? Right, and I want to pick the brains of professors here who will help me along with this particular subject. Let me just begin with you, Professor Aseka. So, yeah, this is a broad subject, but you can also help us to try and navel gaze on certain attributes that we should be seeking for, especially as we are heading towards 2022. A conversation began last week. We want to sustain it today as well, in light of what is happening in Kasarani.
Thank you. Indeed, the whole question of searching for a leader is problematic in our circumstances. And it is problematic because when you carry out a search, you do a search within or from a framework which specifies what the leader should be. And we do not have a clearly defined program in our country for leadership development. So that really the question that we are asking is, how do these leaders, first of all, generate their foundations? So that a leader needs to have some foundations on which he grows in his life, on which his profession, if it's politics, also grows and matures. Then we need to see him at the apex of his leadership, demonstrating certain attributes and practices that reflect maturity and statesmanship. So the question is leadership development. We are talking about choosing a leader, searching a leader. But what are we doing in developing leaders? As far as I'm concerned, leaders are supposed to be products of ideological engagement that takes a lot of mentorship and a lot of coaching. And therefore, in this country, we don't see proper institutions through which leaders are socialized politically, so that we can have people who are consistent, people who are credible and reliable, because they have been brought up to a level of maturity that they become predictable. This leadership development project, who is doing it? Schools are not doing it. Universities are not doing it. Churches are not doing it. Who is doing it? Political parties are fragments of ethnic alliances. So when do we really bring up leadership through the pipeline to say we can put our votes on this man because he passes the test? That's the question that one raises. It's not a question of random searching here and there and people coming and dishing out money. And we forget to talk about the corrupting nature of dishing out money, given that there is a fundamental loop between leaders and followers. So the leaders we have are products of bad citizens who have been bought very cheaply. And of course, citizens are products of bad leaders who have corrupted them. Are we looking at that interface? And what can we do in order to make sense out of this political process?
Right, and let me just also pick the brains of Ambassador Dr. Josephine Ojambo to also weigh in on this, because we just joined us with Professor Noah Midamba as well. We had from Professor Jakoyo and now Eric Aseka. Let's just hear from you. When we are searching and we have this quest of a leader, you can hear there's a vacuum, right? And we keep on regurgitating from the citizens to the leaders, the bad, citizenry becomes the bad leaders as well, because there is no proper framework, as Professor Aseka is putting it, in this country where we develop leaders. We should keenly look inside our framework on how we develop leaders who have also ideological developments as well in their system.
Yes, it's important to nurture up leadership from within the community, because as Professor has said, the leaders that we put in place are a reflection of the values that the community espouses. But we need to ensure, first of all, that we have built a system where we can trust the leadership we put in place by having demonstrated to us their ability to live out their values. It's important that those are not just articulated on political platforms, that they become the bedrock of what the leader actually undertakes from day to day. So that's very important. We need to have faith in leadership. We need to be able to listen and see that they not only give us a statement of purpose, but that we can follow that indeed in terms of their own actions and thoughts. Leadership is something that we acquire, that is lived. The leaders must address the issues that people face on a daily basis. They must be able to not only motivate and excite the ground, but they must be able, therefore, to then translate that into daily life. We look at leaders such as Trump. People thought, how will they elect Trump into office? He was somehow able to mobilize his particular constituency, his base. On the other hand, we look at his values, and many would question, does he bring together a set of values we can trust, together with the connectedness of his base? Those two must go hand in hand. We need to ensure that leaders remain in touch with their people. We've heard people say very recently in Kenya that we are real people in a real world facing real challenges. Connectedness with the people is a very important attribute of leadership. This comes by continuous engagement with the communities. A leader needs to be able to articulate his or her vision. Many times we have leaders on the platform reading texts that they are unable to connect with because the person who crafted it, well versed in policy, was not as well versed in addressing the needs of real people living real challenges in a real world. A leader must be able to motivate, inspire, and engage his people. There are lots of challenges with leadership. One must be able to craft your vision, remain focused, and deliver it over time to the end without distraction. Leaders face crises. The test of a good leader is how they manage during the crisis, how they manage their human resource, how they manage their own person, their emotional intelligence during crisis. This again is a hallmark of a good leader. And in our context today, one of the challenges for leadership is to be transgenerational, to be able to reach out to the younger people amongst us and carry them along and address their issues to motivate them to come to the fore and participate in a space that is theirs, not in token, but genuinely. If you look around our country today, we find young people apathetic about the challenge and quest in the search of a leader. They want a leader who would address their concerns as they are living in a real world today.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Dr. Ojambo. Let's just hear from Professor Naomi Dama briefly, and then we'll take a short break.
Thank
Professor,
you,
good morning.
Dibal, and thank you for having us. Dibal, this continent of ours faced monumental challenges. 10 out of 10 most corrupt countries, 5 are Africans. Top 20 of the least corrupt countries, African, not one single African country so. Only 17 countries out of 54 countries have been able to reduce some form of poverty and inequality. So let me give the citizen my global description of what I consider to be a leader. A leader is someone who has an ability to mobilize people to create an extraordinary positive outcome. And in this definition, Dibal, I include a number of people. One is Sir Winston Churchill, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, John Kennedy, Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, Lee Kuan Yew. The military, I've been associated with the military for a long time, both in America and here, has a doctrine that is very simple and straightforward. And that is duty, honor, and country. What does this mean? Duty, honor, and country. The country has given you, the leader, an ability to be able to give service, provide service to the country. Honor the commitment they have given you. And time, we have failed to do that. So the fundamental question is, what is wrong with us in this continent? What's going on?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Professor Naomi Dama. And of course, I'm taking those salient points. We shall be discussing them also on the other side of a break. We'll select our thoughts right now. Don't go away. Much more coming up on the other side of a break.